Welcome everybody to Dan Excelsior episode 150. What's what is that? Not bicentennial, but
It's 150 is what it
there's not a
is.
cool name for it though.
I don't know, but I gave you a cool new intro for it if you didn't even notice.
I did. It was pretty
Okay.
awesome.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, thank you. I'm your host Ricky. With me as always is Dennis. Dennis has been here for all 150.
I've done all 150 plus some extra stuff. Yes.
Plus some extra stuff. Well, what better way to celebrate episode 150 than to talk about the Punisher? Not just any Punisher. It's 1989 Dolph Lundgren's The Punisher.
So just to be clear, when you say what better way to do it, I think there's plenty of better ways to do it, but that's the one we're gonna do today. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we let's be honest. At this point, we're on a lifelong quest to talk about every superhero movie that's ever existed, and we're just going through our backlog right now. Like we're mostly sticking with Marvel right now because we like to be the mostly Marvel podcast. And we got some loose ends to tie up here in the pre MCU world, and I think the Punisher movies are some of those loose ends, right? I think there's not a lot of them left, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, this is definitely a loose end.
There's 3 Punisher movies. There is a Captain America movie that went to DVD as well, or VHS back in the day.
So this is still one of the first yeah, you could say that, right? One of the first superhero movies.
It's one of the first Marvel movies.
Yeah. Is Captain America in the 80s as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Or no, you know what? It might have been 1990. Actually, I think the Captain America movie might have been early 90s.
So we're like post-Hulk TV show.
I think the Hulk still had one more TV movie after
Really?
after the Punisher.
The trial?
Yeah. The death of.
Wait, he dies?
The death of the Incredible Hulk is, I think, in 1992.
What?
Yeah.
How does he die?
I don't remember. I swear. Like
I don't think we'll ever go back and watch those shows or those. Maybe we might watch those movies.
Maybe the movies.
But does he fight named villains in that show?
Usually no, but like the King,
like very crime drama-y kind of, right?
No. So did you ever watch The Fugitive with Harrison Ford?
No.
Okay. Interesting. I see that now. Death of the Incredible Hulk was 1990, by the way.
Okay.
Trying to think of have you seen Poker Face?
No. So, but you've told me about it. He basically solves problems.
Or we're talking about Fugitive, right? Or the Hulk.
Yeah. He's a fixer.
Yeah. So the Fugitive with Harrison Ford is based on a popular TV show from way back, like when like my parents, not your parents. Your parents are too young to have watched it. I'm too young to have watched The Fugitive also, but I am aware of it just through osmosis. But The Fugitive was a show about a guy who was framed for murder, and he's a doctor, and he went around like all over the world or all over America trying to find this mysterious one-armed man that he believes killed his wife. But in the meantime, he's pretending to be different people, and he's using his doctor skills to help people, like help people in need. It was a very popular show in like, I don't know, 60s or something like that. And then in the late 70s and 80s, they lifted the formula of that and applied it to the Hulk. And they basically just said, hey, the Hulk is wanted by the military for, obvious reasons, but like he doesn't mean any harm. He doesn't mean to hurt people. Like he just wants to be left alone. And, but he keeps going from town to town, meeting these innocent people who are getting bullied by like horrible crime people all the time. And they piss him off. They get him angry, and you won't like him when he's angry, right? And he saves the day, and then sadly, like, the town's like, "You gotta go, bro."
They play the
and
sad ass
then
song.
they play the sad music while he hitchhikes to the next town. And it's a beautiful formula, and it worked so well that people didn't even mind that it was the exact same formula as the Fugitive. It was a fabulous show, and it worked. Was it exactly the Hulk comic? Nah, but like, but I think that's when we started learning that you can reinterpret the comic in a way that works for live action audiences and still get people invested in the character. And I think that's something a little different that what, like, Christopher Reeve's Superman was like one of the bigger modern, superhero movies. But the point of that was to try and be a faithful adaptation of the comic, but grounded in a reality and stuff. And I think the Hulk just didn't care as much about being in the Marvel universe or fighting supervillains and stuff like that. It was just about, it's a man who has a monster inside of him, but ultimately he wants to do good, And so that's what that was. But like the Punisher, I think, what we'll be talking about later is the very different story that is very easy to ground in reality, right? Like it's very believable.
Yeah.
It works like on all levels, but like, I think by 1989, I think we were kind of hoping the bar was a little higher on some of the things that we could deliver with a comic book movie, right? Like, you got to remember, by this point, we've gotten a RoboCop, which was not a comic book, but basically became a comic book icon because of the success of that movie. We have Michael Keaton and Tim Burton delivering a Batman movie.
Do you have a Terminator by now?
Oh, we definitely have some Terminator, like a Terminator exists. Like we have a lot of really cool pop culture experiences that are in the action, action hero genre. And so the Punisher starring Dolph Lundgren went straight to video because, weirdly enough, the director, is asked a lot about why didn't you put the skull on him? Like, why didn't you just put the skull on the guy? Because that's all. I mean, the bar is so low for the Punisher, right? Put the skull on his chest, and we're.
I don't want to jump too early into our Punisher talk, but
fair enough.
Yeah, that
I'll give you the
skull
answer.
may have bumped this a letter grade up.
Right. Yes. So, needless to say, it was early times for superhero movies, outside of a lot of Incredible Hulk. And they were definitely trying things, some with more success than others. We're going to be talking about one of the lesser successes today on the show. But, God bless them for trying, because, every attempt.
You got to start somewhere.
Every attempt was, a step on the ladder to get to where we are now, which is, this wonderful embarrassment of riches where we can have a podcast where we talk endlessly about superhero movies
for 150 episodes. About
150. Good job, man. Congratulations on 150. I think you've done almost all 150 of them, right?
I'm probably at 140, somewhere in there.
Really? You think you missed 10? I don't know. I don't know if you missed
less than 10, more than 5.
Yeah, definitely single digits, I think. Yeah. But in any case, it's fun. I enjoy doing this on a weekday evening, talking about these things, and I hope that everybody enjoys listening or watching us either live or after the fact. But if you do, you know what you can do, right?
Yeah. Patreon.com/DanXmedia.
Yeah, or at least like and subscribe.
Or you know what? I'll even take just play it on your iPhone or wherever you get podcasts, and just you can walk away. I don't care. I just want that play. I just want that play.
Exactly.
Before you leave the house, just say, "Hey, Alexa, play Dan Excelsior," and just like that.
She's gonna do it,
and something might happen.
That was a nice plug. I like that. before we move on to the Punisher later in the show, what stuff have you been geeking out on this week?
Ooh, Big Only Murders Week. That show again, just a nice little treat every Tuesday, and it's a fun show, and it's the guests that they have. So who is it? Not Kumail, Kumail Nanjiani. He's the guest of the week. And he's great, and he's still ripped. They make a joke about it, like, why are you still ripped, bro? But it works in the story, and it's always fun. It's always fun to see who they bring into that show. My highlight of the week, though, had to have been I finally did medieval times. I guess I've been nerding out on that. So for context, everyone that I've talked to about this going there said you got to go. You've told me the stories that you had there. Anyone I've asked about it said they always had a great time. It's something that you just do once, and you're probably good for the rest of your life, but it's well worth doing. And I went with some friends over the weekend, and I had the most fun in every aspect of that show, from the story to the food to the setup. For those of you who don't know, in a past life, I used to work in hospitality, and the way they operate that business from every minute detail is like Disney levels of coordination and in the decision making that they went to, like everything that you touch, everything that the guest sees, and it's very impressive that they do that 3 times a night.
They do it 3 times a night. Are you serious?
We went on Saturday, and there was a 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and a 7 o'clock show.
Wow. Okay. On weekends, I think they do it.
Okay. Yeah. Weekend 3 times a night. And it's the animals. It's a whole other layer of complexity and coolness that show brings. Like, if you're ever in an area with the medieval times, I highly, highly, highly recommend.
Yeah. I've had some historic experiences at that place that will probably in the top 10 of my favorite crazy youthful moments. At least 1 or 2 of them are up there in medieval times. That place is weird and nuts, and I just love it. It's I'm glad you finally got to go. It's a good
no one. Lifelong dream fulfilled for sure. How about you? What have you been nerding out on?
Well, you know what? I finally decided to pull the trigger on jumping into the widely hated on final season of Umbrella Academy. And I finished it this week, and I loved it. Are there flaws? Are there plot holes in it that feel a little messy? Yes, but I actually really enjoyed it, and I think most of the characters got really interesting arcs to really fill out like their journey throughout the show over the last 7 years. Do I think some of the characters really got done dirty? Yeah, a little bit. But my eyes lit up the second Nick Offerman and Megan Mullally showed up as like the main antagonists of the season. They're married, right?
Yeah.
They are probably my favorite married couple.
Package duo at this point.
Oh my God. When you get the 2 of them together, it is magic. And I was so happy to see the 2 of them throughout the entire season. David Cross is in it too. So it's silly. It's kind of funny. It's silly, but I will say they had the balls to end in a way that the MCU or a DC movie never will. And it's a really cool, understated moment of sacrifice that nobody gets to witness. They save the universe. You know what I mean? And I really appreciated it. It's a cool show. So Will, you talked about this with me last week, and you said, have you ever read the comic? And I said, I'm kind of waiting until the show's over. But yeah, I'm gonna read that comic now because
do you know if the show and the comic end the same way?
I have no idea.
Okay,
and I'm okay. I'm okay to not know that, So, but I really liked it. I wouldn't imagine they end the same way, only because I'm pretty sure the character of Vanya, played by Ellen Page back in the day, did not go through a transformation to become Victor halfway through the comic and then be played by Elliot Page. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like there are historically 2 sisters in Umbrella Academy, and then for this version, there's only 1 sister by the end of the show, and that's fine. You know, like I'm not saying that drastically changes things, but I'm saying it definitely does change things. You know, a bit, so. But that said, I actually really disliked Ellen Page in the first few seasons of the show, and then the season where the transition happened, it was rocky also because I felt bad for the actor because I know that they worked it into the story, but he had to play a female for the first few episodes of the season for the story, and you could tell how incredibly uncomfortable he was. So it you know, and he's even stated that in interviews, like it wasn't something he wanted to go back and do, but like they needed him to do it for the story,
for the context of this,
and you feel bad for the person to know that they spent their whole life not wanting to be that anymore, and then the studio's like,
we need you one more time.
Yeah, that's rough, you know. But like I will say, like I think what ended up happening is I think what I didn't like about that actor in the first few seasons of the show was that I was feeling their discomfort through the first seasons of it, and so I was really happy with this actor in the final season of the show. I was like, this is the character I've been waiting to see this whole time, and so it made me really happy to see Elliot Page finally be comfortable in their own skin.
That's cool.
And yeah, that was probably the most satisfying thing for it, because there's no denying Ellen or Elliot Page was always the top billed actor on
for that show.
Yeah. And so it just really frustrated me for so long that the top billed actor.
Wait, isn't the monkey voiced by someone famous though, or someone well known?
I mean, in the credits every time it was always Ellen or Elliot Page was the first name that appeared.
Okay.
I don't remember who the monkey was, but my point is, like, it was really frustrating that every single actor that I've never heard of before was way better than this person who we've seen, you know, for a long time. So I was very happy to see those acting chops finally get greased or whatever, however you get them to work. But it's worth it for him. Like he's cool. He's cool by the end of that show.
Are you going to see Transformers?
I am, and you know why? Well, 1, because I love Transformers.
You like toys.
I like toys, but 2, because when I went to see Twisters in 4DX a few weeks ago, sorry guys, last week, right? Yeah. I got a trailer in 4DX for Transformers 1, and it was aggressive, sir. It was quite aggressive. And I was like, okay, you know what? I will see this movie in 4DX
because see the origin of it's Orion Pax, and
Orion Pax is who Optimus Prime was before he.
Who was Megatron? Did he have a cool name?
I think he was still Megatron. I don't know. So the way it works is the auto your
D16.
Oh, was he D16? Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, they're changing stuff for sure, but like the way it worked in the old school thing is like.
They've always been buddies.
When you get the matrix of leadership, you become a different leveled up version of a person. Yeah. So you become you know, Hot Rod became Rodimus Prime. Orion Pax became Optimus Prime. You know, like that's just how it works. Yeah. So but then they made it weird in Beast Wars because they have like Optimus Primal or whatever. Like whatever. I'm not going to say the lore is rock solid, okay? Like, it's not.
You didn't hate Beast Wars. You saw Beast Wars too, right?
I don't love that movie. But I think it's easier to watch than some of the other ones, for sure.
Okay, is it?
It's, you mean Rise of the Beasts or whatever?
Yeah, whatever the beat. Yeah, Rise of the Beast. Are we? Sorry, now we're on this Transformers kick. Bumblebee. Bumblebee was good. I like Bumblebee.
I like Haley Steinfeld in that movie. I think
like John Cena in that movie.
I think John Cena is cool too, but I think Haley Steinfeld and John Cena are why that movie's good, not Bumblebee. Like, I think it's cool that like we get to see like the G1 Transformers for the first 5 minutes of the movie or whatever. Yeah, it was a little too late. It's a little too late for me. But yeah, I think the human actors were just the best part of that movie, which is always still unfortunate because we want them to be. So that's why I'm really excited about Transformers 1, because yeah, it might be an animated movie, but like, hey, no humans. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
It took us this many years to get a Transformers movie with no humans in it. So I'm pretty stoked for that.
Well, like, another Transformers movie. Well, no, so Transformers the movie has humans, right?
Yeah, even the original one has humans in it. A lot of humans, but they don't, it's still, the proportion is more on par with what old school fans are happy with. But yeah, I'm gonna see it. Are you gonna see it? Or
I've heard good things. People
I've heard very
really
good
like this movie. It's gonna be a hard sell for me to go watch this movie.
Why?
It feels very kiddie.
You're limiting yourself when you like.
I do see here though, Steve Buscemi as Starscream. I might be sold.
See, here's my thing. I spent my childhood watching movies like The Punisher. I owe myself a childhood, so I welcome watching.
Well, we have very different outlooks on the Transformers. The first Transformers movie, will always have a very special place in my heart.
You're talking about the live action one?
Yeah, the Bay movie.
Yeah,
I
mean, Megan Fox will always have a special place in my heart for that movie.
Gross, weird Megan Fox love triangle aside, because she's like a high schooler in that movie.
I know.
There's certain, like, when they transform for like the first time, what's the helicopter? The Decepticon helicopter, and he does the thing. That movie's good. That movie, I will say the sum of the parts definitely make that movie push that movie well over the edge.
It's good enough, is I think what that movie was, but I think it's just what we're watching with those Transformers movies is what we've been watching with the Marvel movies what I've been watching with the Marvel movies since The Punisher, right? Like the less creative control the owners of the IP have, you're gonna get some weird stuff. But as popularity grows and grows and grows, you start seeing the people who care the most about it involved in it. So I can honestly, I think we can all agree that Michael Bay didn't necessarily give a shit about the lore of Transformers. He's still
like a producer on this movie.
Right. But I'm saying Michael Bay was there to give audiences a version of Transformers that they could
it's a spectacle. It's like
they could get behind, right? And so I think that's what that first movie did successfully, was reinvent Transformers for a wider audience. And then, maybe people might be interested enough to be like, hey, so what's the deal with Transformers? Like, should I go back and watch the cartoon? Should I read the comic books? And so I think that's, that's kind of like how we see all of these things now, is right. They're all stepping stones. Like, do I have my perfect Transformers movie yet? No, I don't. But I'm willing to keep trying. I think that's where I'm at with these. So I'm not writing them off yet.
Brittany here that it is the first of a trilogy. So it does well. You're getting 2 more of these things.
Cool. I'm gonna try to be excited about that instead of be really, really depressed already.
I mean, is it spoilers that both Optimus and Megatron will probably live in this movie?
Yes, they will probably live. Thanks for spoiling it.
One of them becomes bad. Guess which one?
I do feel a little sad knowing that we're getting to that point where Peter Cullen will no longer be able to be the voice of Optimus Prime. So I don't know. Maybe he might be at the beginning of this movie or at the end for like a second. Who knows? But I know Chris Hemsworth is playing, Orion Pax.
I didn't have any news, but James Earl Jones passed away earlier this week.
I know, and that's kind of what I was.
That's a bummer.
That's kind of what I was leading into. Is like, you reach a point where like these great voice actors, you're not going to have them anymore unless they sign some weird AI
Well, that's what James Earl Jones did for Vader. So Vader's voice will live on in perpetuity.
Yeah, I heard recently that Disney's being sued by Peter Cushing's estate, though.
Yes, for his appearance in Rogue One, which I guess they did not have.
They did not have all the parties required.
But I think that's due to his likeness, not necessarily his voice.
You're right. So James Earl Jones. That was a sad one. I think the only reason I didn't like shed a tear is because like awkwardly, like when I was at the movies a few weeks ago, we're getting surfaced that trailer for the Mufasa movie a lot right now.
Yeah.
And when I saw the trailer for that, I remember asking, is James Earl Jones still alive? Like, and I think when you get to the point where you're wondering if someone's still alive, I think it's okay if they pass on, because it's like, okay.
Oh yeah, he had a long-standing career.
I'm not saying I wanted him to die or anything like that. No, I hope that he had the wonderful life that he deserved, because he entertained, billions of people on this planet. He was at that age where it's like, I wasn't even sure if he was still alive yet. And then 2 weeks later, he was gone. But yes, I did have my moment of mourning for him this week. He's a pretty damn important person in the nerd world for sure.
Oh yeah.
It's a rough one for sure.
Well, let's spin this around and talk about other
deaths. Okay, cool.
Venom: The Last Dance, the final trailer, second last trailer, for the third and presumably final movie in the Venom trilogy got released today. It looks like a Venom movie.
It looks like a movie from the people who made the previous Venom movies.
Yes,
I won't go as far as you as to say it looks like a Venom movie. Yes,
it looks like a conclusion to the Tom Hardy Venom series.
We can agree on that statement.
But the big nugget, again, this trailer came out earlier today as we're recording on the 12th. There's this guy pops up in the trailer. Who does this look like, Dennis?
So I'm going to ask you a question instead of you asking me that question.
Okay.
You were pretty excited to have me watch that trailer right before the show. You're like, watch it right now. And so you got to watch my face as I watched that trailer. Could you tell when I saw Null?
No.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly. Because I didn't care, because it's the Sony movie universe version of Null. So like I could try to tell you who Null is in the comic books, but like at the end of the day, out of context, Null, does he really even matter in the Venom universe? Like, I mean, like I was trying to tell you before, like the symbiote like origins of like Eddie Brock's symbiote, like in the Venom universe or in the Venom comics, like it didn't actually start really expanding to like unravel this crazy mystery until like the early like 2010s ish.
Yeah, Noel's I want to say like less than 10 years old. He's pretty.
I think he's 11 years old now.
Okay,
actually,
he's fairly new though.
Yeah, he's fairly new. But yeah, they got to the point where like I think Brian Michael Bendis was writing Guardians of the Galaxy right before the movies were starting, and that's when they started like creating stories where like Venom Space Knight was out there with the Guardians. He was a member of the Guardians, and he started learning more and more about the origins of the symbiotes because other aliens recognized it, and they're like, "Oh, you're one of the Clintar. You're from Clintar." Blah blah blah. And he's like, "What? I'm from what?" And so they were starting to build the pieces of the symbiote lore, and then eventually it all leads back to the creator of the symbiotes is this character named Null, who actually also created the sword, the Null sword, I think that's what it's called. I can't remember. Necrosword. Thank you. Necrosword is the sword that Gore, the God Butcher, used, which was also featured in Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, that was the Necrosword in that movie.
And so it's so weird to me because like, okay, we're gonna get a out of context Null. You know what I mean? I'm trying not to be salty about this, but it's very hard for me to not be salty about these Venom movies because everything's out of context. Everything's out of context. You know what's really effed up is that Null has that crazy like logo on his chest, and Venom does not. And Venom does not. You know what I mean? Like that's.
Well, I mean, is that your bootlegger way around to getting the stupid spider on Venom's chest in this movie?
Sure.
I mean, but I think it's weird though. For another fact, I mean, we were talking. Null's not a Venom villain. I think if you were to define,
I think he kind of is, but he's not. I wouldn't say he's a Spider-Man villain. He's more a Venom villain than a Spider-Man villain. But he is, he is the grandchild of Spider-Man, right? In the context of Venom exists because of Spider-Man, and Null exists because of Venom, and so it's kind of weird how far down the rabbit hole we've gone. But
kudos to Null though. He kind of plays a big. You don't really see him, but he's in the second Spider-Man game. Definitely he's referenced by the way the symbols on the symbiotes and how they're all coming.
I guess, yeah.
And then he's in this movie, so he's kudos to Null.
Sure, kudos to a fictional character Null. I'll give it a chance. I'm excited to see what they do. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna like discount the whole thing. I find the Venom movies mildly entertaining as funny movies that are not.
Yeah, so, that's what they are.
Yeah, it's not the Venom I know, and it's weird to me because like I feel weird defending Venom because I've always hated Venom as a character. Like I think Venom was lazy in the same way that like how many people got upset at the trailer for the first Black Panther movie when they start seeing Black Panther fighting another Black Panther. You know what I mean? It's like we don't like to see our heroes fight like mirror images of the same thing, right? And so Venom for me was that. I mean, obviously Venom was cool looking and he came from the cool suit, but I just never enjoy watching my hero fight their exact same copy, like it's so yeah. I've just my whole life has been a Spider-Man fan hating on what most people.
I mean, you were here last week saying that the Hulk has to fight the Red Hulk, so
yeah, but that's because the Red Hulk is General Ross. You know what I mean? General Ross has had a chip on his shoulder for the Hulk for his whole life, and he was waiting for a way to fight Hulk. But yeah, it's also dumb that General Ross becomes the Red Hulk because he literally lets himself become the thing he's hated his whole life. So it's both. It's both. It's cool and stupid at the same time. But that's a lot of things in comics, unfortunately. They're cool and dumb at the same time. So what am I gonna do?
What else do we have here? Tomorrow is Friday the 13th, but more importantly for you toy collectors out there, it is PulseCon 2024.
They snuck that one on me, man. Like I just got an email for it like 2 days ago. I'm like, wow, guys, you just surprised me. I didn't realize it was this soon. I have no idea what they're dropping.
Yeah, what do you want?
I don't know, but I know I just gave him $85 for a Dragon Man this week.
So do we get another HasLab?
No, they're not. They said they're not doing a HasLab this
Oh
year.
yeah, right.
That's why Dragon Man just silent drop this week.
Well, open up your wallet again for whatever they drop tomorrow at
yeah. What time is the Marvel one? At 2:30 Eastern, so that's 11:30. Okay, cool. I mean, I think you should always be mindful of which property goes last, because that's the one that they currently care the most about. So I think it's interesting that this year Marvel and Transformers end the show.
Well, Transformers makes sense because of the movie.
Exactly. But I'm saying historically they used to close out with Star Wars. And they've had some serious duds in the last few years. So I see how the brand has weakened significantly. So that's pretty funny to see.
All right.
Are you going to check it out?
Yeah, I'll have it on the background. I'll be at work, but yeah.
I will say this, like, I don't collect as many things as Hasbro has to offer, because that would ruin my marriage. But I do enjoy watching their presentations. Particularly, my favorite ones to watch are the team that's responsible for G.I. Joe. That is a team filled with passionate people that love it, and I just love their enthusiasm when they talk about those things, even if I'm not going to buy them.
They've been in a drought for a while, so to have them for the past couple of years come out swinging and then start having some success, it's definitely enduring, right?
Yeah, they're really adorable to watch. I love the Transformers team. They're really fun too. There's one guy, I swear to God, I don't mean to like make him sound bad, but I feel like he gives me the vibes of somebody who goes and smokes a massive amount of weed right before he gets on stage to talk about Transformers. And just the way he loves those toys is so innocent. It fills me with joy.
This man fired.
I know, I'm gonna get him fired, or at least drug tested. But then the more and more I see the teams that are in charge of selling these highly successful properties, the more I'm willing to open my mind to, like, maybe the Marvel Legends team isn't necessarily the best team. They just give me the product that I love the most, so the Star Wars team, the guy in charge of that, I can't believe he still has a job. I can't believe he still has a job after the failures they've done over the last few years. And they also gave him the Indiana Jones license, which has run into the ground again. And I don't get it. I don't get how that happens. But anyways, I'll stop going off on that rant. Did we talk about the Punisher?
Two things.
Two things.
Daniel Destin Cretton, Shang-Chi director, is directing Spider-Man 4. Small news there.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that one. He did direct that show on Disney Plus. I cannot remember the name of it right now. But it was about the Monkey King. It was a reinterpretation of the Monkey King story.
American Born.
Yes, American Born Chinese, I think, something like that. That show is awesome.
He can do fight scenes.
Yes.
Spider-Man fights.
Yeah, well, it wasn't just fight scenes. It was really good teenager coming of age story. Like, it was excellent at that. And so if we're tuning in, if we're zoning in on that part of his storytelling, I'm down.
Well, Shang-Chi's definitely one of the better parts of Phase 4. I feel good saying that.
I still don't feel
I'm
good
happy.
saying that.
I'm happy for him to continue on.
I do not feel good saying that. Do I like?
Remember, this man was gonna do the Kang Dynasty. So,
do I like Simu Liu? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do I like him more in Jackpot on Amazon Prime?
I watched Jackpot this week too.
He was pretty awesome in Jackpot, dude. Like,
he's pretty good in Jackpot.
I like him more in Jackpot than I do in Shang-Chi. That's just the truth. Like, I don't think his character was interesting. I think he was the blank everyman that you're supposed to, you follow along on the ride and be like, "Ooh, I wish that was me." But I want my characters to have a little bit more character, and like, I just.
Well, good thing you already got that built in with Spider-Man.
Yes, exactly.
So
So there you go. Maybe it's a really easy softball pitch for Destin Daniel Creighton or Creighton. Daniel
right.
Destin? Yeah.
It's time for
Thank
The Punisher.
Goodness.
The Punisher 1989, starring
Spoiler
Dolph
warning.
Lundgren.
Spoiler warning, ladies and gentlemen, from 1989.
I have my notes here.
Man.
Context. This movie came out before the MCU and was in an era where superhero films were rare and studios experimented with different tones and approaches.
Nice. I like that. That's a way of saying forgive this movie for everything it did wrong. Yeah.
So I'd always been aware of this movie. I don't think I had seen a picture like of Dolph Lundgren as the Punisher up until give or take 10 years ago. Like when I finally took the time, it's like, oh, what does he actually look like? And then so he's just a guy on a bike. So I was happy to go back and watch this movie and see what it was all about. It is not a good movie.
It's not. It's not.
But
it's not even a good 80s movie, dude. It's not.
I don't think it's a bad movie though. I don't think it's that. I know it's the tone of these past 3 weeks, but there is a part of me that
I
kind of dug the greasiness and sliminess of it all.
So I think this is a cool one to follow the last 2 weeks, right? We had Ghost Rider and then we had the Hulk, right? And we were talking about how, like, love them or hate those movies, they still give you the thing you want to see, right?
Yeah.
I feel kind of weird about this movie because all he had to do was wear a goddamn skull on his chest while he did the things that I wanted him to see him do, and I would have been happy with it.
The costume's there. He just literally needs.
It's not there.
He just literally needs a skull.
He's wearing leather pants and a leather biker jacket, and none of that is what the Punisher wears ever.
So
he doesn't wear those things.
Have you seen this movie? You've seen this movie before.
I have seen this movie before. Okay. I actually used to watch this movie a lot as a kid at home. I'd rewind the tape and watch it again over and over again.
At this point, 1989, in the Punisher's trajectory, the Punisher's a pretty old character. Did we have great established Punisher stories at this point? Because I know he had a pretty, like, what is it, Micro, or what's his main arc?
He's had like sidekicks, like named Micro and stuff like that. Like,
but like his main, like, you know what I mean, like his death of Gwen Stacy, his like major comic arcs, had those already taken place?
Yeah, I think the Punisher, like, the Punisher versus Kingpin versus Daredevil, Punisher versus Spider-Man. I think those are very iconic things, that have occurred. I think the greatest version we've ever gotten is season 2 of Daredevil, right? Like, that is some amazing Punisher, and you get to see what the Punisher looks like in a world of superheroes, right? Like, granted, it's not a lot of superheroes, but it's they still always imply that those characters exist in the same world as the Avengers and stuff. Like, so the Punisher sitting there on a roof talking to Daredevil about their ideological differences makes you feel like, yeah, this is what a real man with guns who just wants to take care of the problem permanently is going to look like in this world of people who put on superhero suits and go and fight, crime and hope that the bad guys get locked up for good and stuff. That was, John Bernthal's Punisher is perfection. Like, it just really is. Like,
he does toe the line of, like,
he's the most believable Punisher
he's a
ever.
Pretty fucked up character, like, but
he's believable, right?
Yeah, like, no doubt. He does a good job of, like, showing you his ways, but also showing you acting the flaws of what a real life Punisher, you are a psychopath.
Right.
You like that is there's no easy way around it.
But he's still he's a psychopath with his own moral compass, though, right?
Exactly.
He has his own moral compass, and so it's not just about he's not doing this. I guess he's not a sociopath, right?
He doesn't get pleasure for killing people.
Right. He's doing this because this is how he enacts his sense of vengeance. And I'm not sitting here trying to justify or defend Punisher all day, whatever. That's not the point of this episode. But what I am saying is here, I'll give the Dolph Lundgren movie one valid positive. I would say after the 4-minute weird ass colorful credit scene that we get at the beginning of the movie, 1 minute of that movie is the most efficient storytelling I've ever seen in a superhero movie. They told you his entire backstory in a minute, and you were caught up, and you knew who the Punisher was. And then it's super funny because he shows up, he blows up the gangster's house, and they're like, "Oh my god,
Punisher!"
Yeah, I think it is, guys, because I think you spent the last minute telling us who the Punisher was. Good job to them because they caught everybody up. He is a simple story, it's a simple story.
It's a Punisher, almost like a Punisher one shot,
right. And I think that's a way of looking at this movie that makes it less painful. And in fact, I think that's kind of how I like to look at all three of the Punisher movies. They are a snippet of his life at a different point in time, each one of them. And I promise you, by the time you get to Punisher Warzone, you're going to need to look at it that way because it gets a little comical, in the worst ways possible. So I won't even say this is the worst Punisher movie. There's still things that are redeemable about it for sure. And I do applaud Dolph Lundgren for trying this movie. I don't think the fake beard looks good on him at all.
No.
It's not a good look. It's not a good look. I do appreciate that they got the skull logo on his little daggers that were his calling card. It's weird to me that he's every time there's a fun fact. Every time he uses a weapon in that movie, he discards it at the end of the scene and never uses that weapon again. He just constantly is throwing guns away every time.
He had a bunch of guns.
Yeah, so I think what was happening in this movie is I was missing some of the interesting bits of lore that make it unique, right? I think the most unique thing I saw in this movie was a Yakuza guy dressed up like a ninja who sliced off a person's hand with their foot blades. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, okay, that's something I had never seen before. So for me, what was weird is the Punisher wasn't giving me anything special that I had never seen before, except for his naked balls hanging out in a sewer. And I'm like, that is a choice somebody made. You have the Punisher sitting there squatting in the sewer, in the nasty ass sewer.
That's where he lives.
Butt naked, and you could fully see the silhouette of his hanging testicles. And I'm like, what is this? That was the last image of the movie too, I think, also, right? What is that? Why is that in the Punisher movie?
I don't know. Who makes weird choices?
But it's weird, right?
It is weird. It's not. It pulls you out because it's so not Punisher. Right. But I think this movie operates on both spectrums because there's points where it's minus the lack of a skull on his chest. This is the Punisher doing some Punisher-ass stuff. And for what it's worth, I actually do kind of like the story. It's very simple, but it's
nuanced. It's nuanced.
It has purpose. Yeah, it's gang fighting. I get it. And what is that? I just thought I thought the beats that it hit were really cool. You have a cool female Yakuza boss, right? And she becomes the bad guy. But
why was she dressed as a geisha at the end of the movie?
Dude, it's 80s. don't know, dude. Like, just roll with it.
Just roll with it. All right, fine. I do like that the main villain of the movie is a woman. I think that's cool. I think that's progressive for 1989 for sure.
Like, I was honestly on board with this movie up until he like raids this, I guess, an underground casino. Right, he comes in through the roof, kicks open the door.
That was the most fake underground casino I've ever seen in my life. It was like 2 black walls and a few slot machines.
And a few slot machines.
We did it. We made a casino, guys. Yeah.
And this man just shoots everything in sight. And he makes
people, right?
What? He's shooting people too.
He's missing a lot of people.
He's kind of missing it, but his shooting goes on for like 4 or 5 minutes.
It's so long. It's
so long. And he makes this dumb face. He's like you could tell he's acting and like shaking his body to simulate the recoil of the gun, but he's like doing this for 4 minutes while he's just shooting up this.
I'm not even sure he was simulating that. I thought
this casino.
Yeah. It's a dumb scene. It's dumb. But like, yeah. I mean, what is it you like about the plot? You want to explain the plot of this movie really quick? Because I'm just kind of curious.
So you have 2 opposing mob forces. Are they in New York, right?
I think the implication is they're in New York. I will say that when Berkowitz is pointing to the map of like all the different incidences of killings that Punisher's done, it's a fun fact. That's a map of Seattle. But I think the movie's supposed to take place in New York, but it's filmed in Sydney, Australia.
Okay. So you have 2 warring.
Ghost Rider was too, so
2 warring crime bobs, mafia and the
Yakuza, right?
Yakuza are fighting. They're having a turf war, and the Yakuza kidnaps all of the mob bosses' kids.
Yeah.
And the mob bosses basically are like, all in while the background, the Punisher's been killing all the mob bosses because they killed his family.
Yeah.
It gets to the point where the mob boss is like, hey, we need to bring in the Punisher because he's the only one that killed the Yakuza. There's a hostage situation, which makes sense on why the Punisher needs to work with the mafia. So the Punisher goes, kills all the Yakuza, saves the children, and then as he's walking out with the mob boss's kid and the mob boss is like, this is the perfect time to kill you so I can take over. And Punisher kills the mob boss in the movie.
Yeah. I was weirded out by like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Punisher is in general a gray area kind of character. But like, I felt like it was a gray area story to have as your first introduction of who this character. I mean, I know he's an anti-hero, but like, yeah, I don't know. I might say something wrong on this show that's going to get me canceled or something like that. But like, do you save the kids of the mob bosses? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, am I?
They do. I do kind of like the kidnapping scene where they show the Yakuza taking all the kids, and they're like at private tennis lessons, music class, like all of this, like stereotypical rich kid after school activity. They're getting picked up in limos, like, oh, you're not my normal limo driver.
I was weirded out by things like I think there's almost like a Kill Bill moment, right, where he's like even tells that kid, hey, if you want to come back and kill me when you're grown up or something, like, or maybe I just...
Well, he like has the kid. The finale of the movie is the kid after the Punisher kills his dad for crossing him.
He's like,
the kid has a gun to the Punisher's head. He's like, do it, kid.
Yeah.
And the kid's like traumatized for life. It's like, do it. And
he didn't.
I don't want to say the acting's great, but that man is very serious in that he wants to die in that moment.
I know.
And that is very traumatizing.
Yeah. It's all over the place. And then like when the kid doesn't kill him, he goes back home to his sewers and dunks his testicles on the bottom floor of the sewers. And that's the end of the movie. End scene. I think a lot of people were really upset at this movie because Punisher just lives in the sewers the whole time, and
no van.
He's got a motorcycle that he just drives around in the sewers all day long.
Oh, also his like informants, like
his informant Shake is like saying
actor, but he's like speaking in sonnets.
he's speaking in rhymes and very trying to be very Shakespearean. He has there's a weird joke where he says the word thespian and somebody thinks it means something else than it does, and they want to beat him up. And there was beats where they were trying for humor. There was beats where they were trying for really solid action, and I just feel like they missed the mark on a lot of things. But like one interesting note, like I learned something as I was researching this movie. Like I never knew that Dolph Lundgren actually was a karate champion before his acting career. That's how he got into Rocky. Rocky 2, I think, is what it was.
Yeah. 3 or 2?
3. You're right. Yeah. 3, right? Yes.
This is post Rocky.
Oh, Dolph Lundgren didn't have an acting career before Rocky 3. Yeah. So Rocky 3 was his first thing. Then I believe it was He-Man, Masters of the Universe was his next big thing, and we know that didn't go well. But it did become a cult classic.
We like those movies.
It became a cult classic, right? It's aged well. It's aged well. And then The Punisher was probably kind of the nail in the coffin for his career for a long time. He did some movies. I think he did like a Universal Soldier movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme. He's done some other movies. I'm not going to say he didn't have a career, but he didn't have the career that Arnold and Stallone and Bruce Willis were having.
No.
I mean? Like,
not at all.
And I think it's because of it didn't help that The Punisher, it could have been a high profile movie, right? This movie went straight to video, and I was teasing at it earlier when we were talking about that, but the director in hindsight has said that he thinks probably omitting the skull from the chest was probably a big contributing factor for why they didn't do a theatrical release in America. They did a theatrical release.
Is a thick ass logo, man.
It's iconic, right? And it's what sets him apart from every other guy that goes around murdering people with guns and stuff like that. And so it was the one thing I needed for me to be happy watching the monster do the monster things. Like, that's why I couldn't fault Ghost Rider as much as I wanted to, because they gave me what I wanted to see. And at the end of the day, you might not like the big green baby, but Ang Lee did give you what you need to see.
There's a lot of Hulk in that movie.
There's a lot of Hulk in that movie. And I felt like we did not get a lot of Punisher in this movie. We got a lot of a guy.
You got a lot of guys shooting, but
a guy shooting people.
Not a lot of Punisher.
I just wanted to see the Punisher doing the Punisher things. And I didn't. I got a guy that somebody said was the Punisher doing things. You know what I mean? Like, that's my thing. I don't want to have people tell me that's the Punisher. I want to be able to look at him and be like, that's the Punisher, right? And so I think that was my problem with this movie. Even as a kid who had not read a lot of Punisher comics back then, but I was aware very much of who this person was because I had collected the trading cards. I had read some Spider-Man comics and stuff. So I knew enough about Frank Castle and his story that, like, it kind of bummed me out that his story at the time when I was a kid, it bummed me out that his story was covered in 1 minute of the movie. And then the rest of the movie is this thing about he's got to save kids of bad guys. And I'm like,
damn it. I just want white glove, white boot Punisher in live action just once.
I don't even need the white gloves, man. The white gloves is a bit much, but like
white gloves.
As long as he's got the white skull, I'm good. But I feel you. You always want to see some versions of the old costume, some nods to those and stuff like that. But I think you will enjoy Warzone because they give you the Warzone tries to, lean in on the comic bookiness of the Punisher. Because I will say this, Thomas Jane, he kind of doubles down on doing a different take of the Punisher than we would expect. If you've never seen that one either, right?
I've seen that one. I saw that one in theater. I don't remember much of it aside from I was really into bows as a kid.
Yeah,
I know he uses the bow towards the end of that movie.
Fair enough. Yeah. So, but I mean there's a lot of different versions of the Punisher that exist in the comics, just like every character and stuff. And so they're just trying something different there. But I will say I've learned that like this movie itself was also critically panned when it came out, but
shocker.
But it did become a cult classic over time. And so while it might not have been Tim Burton's Batman or RoboCop from the same year, it was profitable.
I will say, if you get a couple beers in me, have some people over, I think you can have a good time watching The Punisher.
Sure. And another fun fact I learned is like they actually hired real karate champions to play those Yakuza people that fought him, and like they taught them stunts and stuff. So like, and they, for some reason, they believed in real contact fighting. So like the fighting that he does with them is actually real. Like it's a trained karate champion fighting other karate champions. Do the fights look spectacular? No, they're not. But like they were real. They were real karate fights happening. They're doing their thing, So was I weirded out by the white mute girl that the Yakuza lady adopted and turned her into a ninja? I was a little weirded out by that. We can't leave the show without mentioning
her earrings are.
I know, right? So I just felt like the villains were more interesting.
When they murder the mob bosses in the restaurant. That was a cool scene.
But I thought the Yakuza had better scenes than the Punisher did in this movie.
They were better characters all around.
They were more interesting characters. They had quirks. They had interesting like ways of killing people. And to your point, Punisher just shows up with a big gun and sprays, and that's it, And then he throws it away and picks up another gun. Would I have loved to have answers to like, who funds him? Where is he getting all of this equipment? How is he locating these people? Like they bother to answer no questions. It's just you go from scene to scene. The Punisher shows up, kills a bad guy, and then the next scene is he's dipping his balls in the sewer, and then the next scene is he's at a new bad guy's place. It's just over and over: sewer, bad guys, sewer, bad guys, sewer, bad guys. That's the movie.
He's almost like a Terminator, but the story of Terminator gives you story reasons on why it's doing what it's doing versus this. It's just like weird, sad.
We got very little lore outside of that first amazing minute of the movie. You know what I mean? Like that's the lore. Did we get lore on his old partner, Berkowitz? Yeah, I thought we got to learn a lot about Louis Gossett Jr.'s character, and I thought he was kind of interesting and cool. I felt like he was dressing a little nicer than I'm used to seeing New York detectives dressing in movies, but yeah, he was entertaining to me, and I liked the supporting characters so much more than I liked the Punisher in this movie, and I think that's what hurt me. That said, though, Gianni Franco. Gianni Franco. What was that guy's accent? Like what?
Oh,
that was not an Italian accent.
It's like, hey, just do a mob guy accent, and then whatever his mind went to that day would be it.
I felt like that guy was like from the Netherlands or something like that. I couldn't tell what his accent was, but I felt like, is this racist? Because they're painting his face to be very, very brown.
There's very obvious racial language and undertones in this movie.
Okay,
very
fair enough. All right.
The language in the movie is like, oh man.
Oh, that's right. They
really did talk like this back then.
They did use some choice words that I have not heard in a long time. I forgot about that. You're right.
But
yes.
I'm happy. I am happy to watch this. It's just another feather in our comic book lore, our comic book hat. Lord knows when Secret Wars 2 comes out, and there's a dumb, stupid bike in the background that looks like the Punisher's bike, we'll know what it is.
So remind me if I'm wrong about this one. In Deadpool and Wolverine, when they pull out the bazooka or the rocket launcher,
it's a Punisher bazooka.
Don't they say this is from Punisher 89?
No, so they say that's the Punisher's bazooka, and then Deadpool, I think, replies back and says, "Which one? There's been like 5 of them."
Oh, okay.
Which I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Yeah.
Have there been 5?
Lundgren, Jane, Ray Stevens, Bernthal. All right, yeah, 4.
Okay. Maybe whatever.
The joke still stands.
I thought I heard 89. Okay, that's fine. Because I was like waiting this whole movie for a rocket launcher, and I was like, I never saw a rocket launcher. So, but it's fine. I was just putting my Deadpool and Wolverine baggage on this movie as I watched it. Wait, for anybody who actually is interested in watching this movie, this is the freest movie you're gonna get. You can find it on YouTube right now.
No ads.
No ads. As of we're recording this on September 12th, 2024. You can go watch it and then check it out and then come back and be
you can see nuts for no ads.
You can just see Dolph Lundgren's nuts, and that's it. That's what that movie has going on for it. Stan Lee is nowhere near this movie, but his name is in the credits for sure.
Did he create the Punisher?
No, he did not.
Okay.
He did not create the Punisher. But yeah, this is a movie. I would like to point out Robert Mark Kamen produced this movie. He is known at that time for creating the Karate Kid movies. But I learned that he also went on to create the Taken franchise and the Transporter movies. So that guy is pretty good at making franchises.
He knows what he does, and he does it well.
Except for the Punisher.
You gotta start somewhere.
Yes, you gotta start. But he had already done Karate Kid movies before this, is what I'm saying. It's okay. You gotta have some losses. You gotta have some misses. You're not gonna hit perfect.
Well, what are we talking about next week?
Next week, I think we're talking about Agatha. Unfortunately,
we're back in the MCU, baby.
We're finally there, guys. We're finally at that thing that I've been promising you I'm gonna dislike until
2 episodes of Agatha by this time next week.
Yeah. And just as the heads up, we are aware that Penguin will be coming out that week as well. I think we're going to be recording this before the first episodes of the Penguin air. Yeah. But we promise to talk more about that throughout the coming weeks. But I think we're going to be strapping in for a fun little spooky ride with Agatha. And I use the word fun very loosely because I'm not promising anything. But I do love Aubrey Plaza. Give
me one wish. Give me Dennis's. I'm gonna be pissed if X does not show up in Agatha all along.
I have a hard time doing those nowadays, man.
Or X does not happen in Agatha all along.
I mean, can I be pissed if Aubrey Plaza doesn't, get naked? Because she's not gonna. She's not gonna. So,
no.
Was that bad? Was that wrong?
No, you're wrong. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Then I will be perfectly fine if she doesn't do that because I am very entertained by her all the time. Honestly, I have such a low bar for this. If they mention Mephisto, cool. If they mention Wanda's twins, I'd be interested to know what happens to those kids. But I just don't know how this fits into the larger scheme of things. So that's why my bar is as low as is Aubrey Plaza going to do something sexy?
Oh, that's the bar. You can only go up. 8 episodes. Here we come.
Yeah, there you go. She will be sexy. Even fully clothed, she will be absolutely sexy. I love her all the time. So, yeah. I saw a movie with her the other day, by the way, and Jason Statham.
What movie is that?
It's like something Old Fortune or something like that, or Fortune something. It came out last year.
Oh.
It's not bad. It's pretty good. It's a Guy Ritchie movie.
Ugh.
What do you say for?
Ugh.
What? Now you don't like Guy Ritchie movies?
I don't know. I've ever liked Guy Ritchie movies. I remember everyone hyping up Snatch to me, and I'm like, this movie sucks. And then
really, you don't like
it?
It's called Operation Fortune, is what I meant to say. Yeah.
And people still keep trying to sell me on Snatch.
I like Snatch. It's a good movie, and it's one of the first movies that gave us Jason Statham. It's Brad Pitt, man. Really, you don't like
Snatch too?
Oh yeah, that's right, dude.
Yeah.
Snatch is a great movie. Oh,
not for me.
Okay, fair enough. Well, then maybe don't watch Operation Fortune.
Yeah, I won't.
Which also features Josh Hartnett and Hugh Grant.
Josh Hartnett's stock went up this year.
Yeah.
People like him in Trap.
Yeah. Anyways.
So do that, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm done being a pervert about Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah. On that perverted note, like and subscribe. Maybe kick us a few bucks if you like the show at patreon.com/deadxmedia. And with that, true believers, enough said.